I'm Tyler Lassell, and I work for Cummins Incorporated here in Columbus at the Columbus Engine Plant, and I'm the operations leader for the light-duty diesel program, which is a new engine platform for Cummins. So currently I'm working on bringing in the assembly equipment to develop that assembly process here in Columbus. The different diversities that I have in my workplace and my team currently on a day-to-day basis, I have diversity from an age and background perspective in my team, as well as cultural diversity with being a global manufacturer like Cummins, and also they emphasize diversity. We have a great deal of international people working for Cummins, and especially on my program team, the Light Duty Diesel project. When I speak personally on the experiences I have with my team, I have a range of age and background. So I have new college graduates that bring a lot of energy and excitement to a program, but don't have necessarily the experience that a more seasoned. Also on my team, I have somebody that has over 20 years of work experience and a great deal of age. So it's a good blend of that energy and enthusiasm, as well as the experience and knowledge of the way things have been done. Culturally, we see that, diversity of working with people from different cultures, specifically from China, India, and Japan. We see their backgrounds playing a role in our development process. Their culture's approach to problem solving, which is can be more methodical versus a more direct gunslinging attitude that Americans tend to have. So we get a range of different views and perspectives about how to approach a problem and solve those. From a gender perspective, we also have a great deal of diversity with both men and women, varying age and backgrounds. From an education perspective, our former operations leader had a less technical background, and she was a woman, but had a great deal of experience and enthusiasm that she brought, and was effectively able to lead a group of, like I said, varying degrees, backgrounds, and both men and women. Throughout my work experience, both prior to Cummins and with Cummins currently in the current project that I'm working on, I've had the opportunity to travel and work with people from Europe, Latin America, and Asia. Currently, I'm working on a project where we're bringing in equipment from Japan. So the assembly equipment that we're building is being manufactured in Japan, and we will bring it here and install it in Columbus. The Japanese culture is significantly different, as one would expect, but really it's the key I see is that their background on how they approach problem solving, their methodical nature, they are less direct when it comes to confrontation. They do not appreciate conflict that maybe Americans tend to appreciate. The conflicting ideas tend to battle it out, and the best idea wins. The Japanese or Asian background is more of a methodical, analytical approach, and they work out the best solution. Will take longer maybe to get there, but the best solution will be proven out more analytically than battling or opposing views. Prior to that, I've worked in Latin America and experienced that culture. And from a problem-solving perspective, they are also less confrontational, more analytical, but they really look for direction and are more authoritative, where it's a hierarchical. People at the top and with the most experience will give direction to people of less experience. So there's less of a bottom-down management style versus a top to bottom management style. Europe is a very big contrast. My experience has been with both French and German cultures, and they are much more confrontational and actually make Americans a little bit uneasy when dealing with problem-solving methods and managerial styles. They are more confrontational and be more direct about criticisms and ways of improving situations. So all of those different cultures means that, you know, as an American or even in those cultures, they have to adopt how they, you know, deal with those different personalities and different cultural backgrounds on, you know, how problems are going to be solved. And I think one of the things that I've been blessed with is by, with this rounded experience of dealing with so many different cultures, it really offers me the ability to bring a team together of different backgrounds and recognize the strengths that each person brings to that team, and to identify those strengths and use them the best we can to come up with the best solution or you know, best product. For me, the key when I go into a culture that isn't my own, so on recent trips that I've made to Japan, the way I have adopted my skills or my style of working with them is, number one, is to be professional, and I think that's key no matter what culture you're dealing with, and including your own, is to maintain a professional attitude where you're respecting everybody's opinions, and not only that, but you expect them to respect your opinions. So that is probably the first key when going into somebody else's culture or dealing with, you know, people of a diverse background. But adopting it, one of the things that I have done is studied cultural differences. So, for instance, before going to Japan, we took a class or a seminar where we had people that had the experience of working with Japanese for several years, and they coached us on the culture and what things to expect. So, for instance, why seating arrangement is very important to the Japanese. I'll just tell a little story about the Japanese seating arrangements. Is it has to go all the way back to their history and the samurai and protecting the shogun, who is their leader. And so the highest ranking person in the room always sits the farthest from the door, because the samurai would be able to defend him. So when you deal with Japanese culture, you don't necessarily want to just immediately go in and sit down. You wait and see where the highest ranking person is going to sit, and then you can sit down. And so that's little techniques that you learn you know, by studying their culture and getting a better understanding before going abroad and working with them. And when I touched on earlier the confrontational styles and the fact that Japanese avoid conflict, they also hate to say no. So when you ask them if they agree, you a lot of times will get no response if they disagree with you. That doesn't necessarily mean they agree. It just, you know, you have to learn that. It can be very frustrating because they really don't want the confrontation to admit that. So studying and gaining experience from others that have the experience can really avoid a lot of frustration and anxiety that you may have, you know, when working with a global environment. So the competitive advantage to diversity